Have you ever looked at your life and thought, this isn't it? Something just feels off. Today, I've got Carissa Mahoney with me. She is a life coach, mom of three, and someone who helps people now rebuild their lives. But like most people we sit down with, that didn't come from an easy path. Thank you, Carissa, for coming on the front porch. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. Me too. Let's hop right into it. Let's go all the way back. What was it like for you growing up?
Well, I'm from a small town in Michigan. So, I would say it's kind of like your average small town, pretty simple. And you don't know everybody, but you know a lot of people. I went to Catholic school and I had 91 in my class. So we still knew everybody. Yes. And it was like safe, So like going from, I don't know, maybe 10 and I could ride my bike wherever. I just had that freedom. Whereas you're in a city, you're not necessarily going to be able to do that. So,
Definitely not Detroit.
yes, no.
Yeah.
So it was just, simple as far as the lifestyle went. And I had family, all of our family was mostly around and stuff. So it was just, going out. My grandparents had a pool, so we would go there in the summer. And yeah,
That
nothing.
sounds peaceful.
It was.
What kind of kid were you?
Starting as a baby, my mom still tells the story of we had an older house and there was actually a door between the kitchen and living room. And so I didn't sleep as a baby. So she's like, I would feel bad, but if you fell asleep, she would cover me with a blanket and close the door and just be like, I think she would just take a nice deep breath. And then I got to, I don't know if you remember those Johnny jump ups where like you can put the
Yeah,
baby. And so at like 9 months, I was wearing out my sleepers because I was just constantly moving. And so I think I was kind of, a little spitfire fiery at first. But then once I got into like elementary school, I was super shy. My parents went to kindergarten. They went to the conference, and the teacher was like, she doesn't talk. And my mom was like, what? Because I didn't show that. I was super shy. And I was, and I kind of I wasn't that shy throughout, but I was more insecure because I was like, I was a chubby little kid. And so, of course, I got teased through some of that. And people that know me later are like, you were chubby? I'm like, I was. It kind of depended. I was kind of like the chameleon in different groups. So it depended how the people around me were. I would kind
yeah.
of, ebb and flow with that. But I became quieter, more insecure as time went on. But I think I always had that fire inside of me, and it's kind of come back.
What did family look like for you back then?
I had a close family. It was my mom, dad, and brother, and I, and we lived around a lot of families. So, I had both sets of grandparents. Well, no, my mom's side, I had her parents. On my dad, it was just my grandma, but then lots of cousins. We got together for, the birthdays and all the stuff. And then my grandpa and then my uncles, now my cousins. We have, I think, 9 dentists in my family now. So they knew that name, my mom's maiden name and stuff like that. So it was fun growing up. It was really nice to have family around, like to celebrate birthdays, because like my kids didn't have that. We never lived close to any of our family. So I did kind of miss that for them. But I was definitely like more of a nurturing. So with my cousins, I was the second oldest. Yes, my brother was the oldest. I was the second oldest, so I always had like a baby on my hip and I would be babysitting. And so I've always liked to help. I've always liked that nurturing side of it, that empathetic. And so
Yeah, me too. How, growing up, did you learn to give love and receive love?
I think with my family, like, it's a good question. My parents were very good, like they told me they loved me all the time and how proud they were. I It's kind of funny because, like, I remember going with my grandparents and always, we'd always give hugs.
Yeah.
And we did with my mom and dad too, but I don't know if it's like that wasn't my first, what's it called? Like, I wasn't always about the hugs that I remember. And I'm like, I don't know if I blocked that out or we just did it all the time and I don't remember. But
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was kind of how we were.
Do you feel like that carried over into your adult relationships?
It's interesting because I think somewhat yes, because you have
Yeah.
the love languages. And mine, I wouldn't say is touch. Like it's more words of affirmation, acts of service, those kind of things. And so, but then when we lived in New Orleans, my husband at the time
Yeah.
coached at Tulane. And so it was Mardi Gras. Well, it wasn't Mardi Gras, but you being from Alabama know that there's like parades for like a month.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're down there, we're at Pat O'Brien's, and there's one of the faculty members comes up to introduce himself to me, and the head coach, he coached football. So the head coach was there, and he says to the guy, "She's a Yankee, you're not going to get like a hug from her." So I kind of went, every time I see someone, I'm supposed to give them a hug. And so I kind of changed that. So as an adult, then I see somebody, so I haven't seen for a while. Sometimes I will give them a hug versus, okay, like even with my kids, like I've always, tell them I love them and same kind of thing
Yeah.
as my parents. I give them hugs, but I'm like, I don't know that I am as, affectionate like that or whatever. But so yes, it has carried over.
It's funny to me. It's always interesting. A lot of what we deal with as adults, we didn't really learn as adults. It's something like we kind of have carried for a long time and transitions with us, is
Yeah.
one of the things that I found.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back now, what's something from your childhood you didn't realize was affecting you until later?
I would say probably throughout like elementary school, like I said, there was one classroom I went to Catholic school till eighth grade. So there was one grade, and there was
Yeah.
just certain number of people that you're going to be friends with or you're not.
Or
And I don't
not.
think,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think I realized till later how much that impacted like friendships for me because there was, you got the mean girls, right? And there was one girl that was the mean girl that I didn't realize until I was at a wedding as an adult that I'm like, oh, because you're either on the other side of it or you're like trying to be part of it so you're not on the other side of it. We were at a wedding and there were three or four of us, and it was like this girl was there, nobody wanted to talk to her. And that's when I wasn't alone in feeling that. Like it wasn't just in my head, So,
Isn't it always crazy the person that we thought was the coolest or whatever in elementary school? Like, especially when it comes to something for like a negative energy, like they were the bully or they were the whatever, or they kind of force people to be their friends. Usually later on in life, it catches up to them. And it's
hmm
like, it's usually not a good thing
yeah,
for them.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of what happened with her, but I don't
It
know.
always catches up. It's what did they say, the old adage, everything always catches up to you. So be careful what you choose.
Yes.
Fast forwarding a little bit, you were a senior in college and you got hit by a car while you were out running. What did that moment kind of take from you mentally or emotionally?
I'd say that took my sense of safety, security,
Yeah.
because I was running like I was following the rules, right? I was running against traffic and there were like three cars and this third car went to avoid the second one, end up coming over on the other side and hits me. And so I'm like, I break the windshield with my head and fall off and take off the side mirror, all this stuff. Thankfully, I don't remember it. But, I'm following the rules. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm trying to it was my senior year, trying to start my semester right. It's a Thursday. And I'm like, okay, let's get a good start. And then, my whole world changes in that, few minutes. And so it was just like that security of I may not be okay just because I'm doing the right thing. And that, I mean, and that's, go ahead.
I'm sure it was kind of confusing too, because like you said, you were doing the right thing. And I feel like you're one of those people that always did the right thing. Like
Yes.
I can tell you give off that vibe and energy. So like I could see where that would be very confusing.
It was because I was always taught, like, okay, I was more of that. I would push the envelope a little, but then
Yeah.
it would be like, why am I getting in trouble when my brother did this? And I'm just doing this and I'm getting, so that definitely took away that sense of security. And then I just came to this realization. I was like, I borrowed, so I'm going to date myself, the old Walkman that was the yellow Sony. So I had
Yeah.
this and I borrowed it and it was my roommate's. And I never really thought about it, but I'm like, I wonder if that's why I don't like borrowing things that might be important because that was ruined. I'm like, obviously it's not that big a deal, but I don't know.
It's crazy how small things like can affect us in such big ways.
Hmm.
Thinking about that, did it kind of change how you saw your life or your sense of control?
Oh yeah, definitely because I no longer, well, for one, I couldn't walk to class. I mean, I went
Yeah.
home for a couple weeks. They wanted me to, people wanted me to stay out of school, and I was like, no. I was already in my fifth year. Like, need to get through. But I mean, I had to rely on people, and I had panic attacks, and so I mean, I might wake up and not even necessarily remembering what was happening, but it was that loss of control, not being able, not feeling like, oh, safe with things. And then I had a cousin that was a lawyer and he told my parents, he's like, she had a head injury. You need to follow through with this. Because I was like, why is the guy not coming to say he's sorry? I mean, my innocent. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, so we did end up having a lawsuit. And after a year, I was just like, I'm done. Because I taught aerobics, again, I'll take
Yeah.
myself, back then. And it was like, people can't see you doing this. And I'm like, I'm finally better. I want to do this. And then, I was like, let's settle this thing. Because I just felt like even less control with that.
Too much. Did you feel like, was there a fear after that, like trusting everyday life or going on runs again? Something as simple as that?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't run unless I had, because this was on a road. I mean, I was on the side and
Yeah.
it wasn't like right on the road, but I wouldn't, unless I was on sidewalk. And then
Yeah.
I would not wear, probably within the last couple years. And I mean, this was back in 1994.
Yeah.
I've just started wearing headphones and my daughter jokes with me. She's like, just one, mom. So like I'll have one headphone in because if I do run on roads, I mean I don't run a lot, but if I do wear, I want to at least have that awareness. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely unless I'm like in an enclosed place that I'd wear like two headphones.
The same way. I learned to like not even wear headphones now when I go for like my runs or my walks because I'm very in tune with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy how sometimes it's not really the event. It's like who you become after it,
Absolutely. Yes.
the shift. Then of all things, you go through Hurricane Katrina, evacuating, relocating, rebuilding with kids. What did it feel like to have your life completely kind of out of your control?
It was a nightmare. I mean, it was because from the point of evacuating, that was like, what do you do? Because all of a sudden, this is a serious hurricane, like
Yeah.
we had talked before. I mean, everybody's like, oh, it's fine, no, you need to evacuate. And then it was, what are we going to do? Because my husband at the time was like, they were going with the team. So, like, all the coaches are going with the team, and my son was 5 and my daughter was 2.5. And so I'm packing up the little Camry and I'm freaking out, going, I want to get on the road, but I can't go by myself. And there was another coach's wife whose mother-in-law thankfully had reserved 3 rooms in Houston. And I mean, before this, it was taking 16 hours just to get an hour and a half to Baton Rouge. So
It was bad.
I'm like, okay, what's this gonna look like? I mean, it was definitely God's hand in it because we didn't go. I mean, I'm up all night. We didn't go till the next morning. And my 5-year-old, I was like, all right, buddy, here's a pull up. Thankfully, we still had one that fit. I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna come across. And so, I mean, we took off at that point, and we had it. Luckily, that's when the contraflow opened up. So it took us
Yeah.
12 hours to get to Houston. So I mean but it was then like, okay, waiting for the hurricane. And then now what did you don't know if your house is impacted. And so then we ended up staying there Sunday to like Thursday. I ended up having a cousin that lived there. So
Yeah.
we stayed overnight with her, and then we're figuring it out. And I have family that was like, all right, let's fly her home. Let's get, my son into school, into the Catholic school that actually I went to. My aunt and
Yeah.
uncle had that set up. And so, I mean, then we were gone for the year, and my ex-husband was with the team, and all the coaches stayed with them, with the team.
So wait a minute. I've got a question. Wait a minute. So as the hurricane was going on, your husband had to leave you by yourself? Shut up. They'd fire me on the spot. There's absolutely no way. I love my job, but like there's no way I'm leaving my wife and my kids.
Yeah, I mean,
Crazy. And
so
it's
I
crazy that the school would expect them to go, like, I mean, of course, go with the players. That's fine. And I understand that. But like the families of the coaches going with the players, that should be like a non negotiable.
yeah, there was, I mean, we were like, okay, this is what we're doing. I mean, thankfully I was with another coach's wife and her
Yeah.
in-laws, and we took off.
As a mom, how do you stay strong for your kids when you kind of don't feel stable yourself, especially doing it alone?
I was challenged for sure. I mean, it's kind of like you switch into survival mode is what I
Yeah.
did. I mean, I was like, all right, we got to do this, we got to do this. Back then, I had this, we didn't even have the like VCR. It was a TV with a little VCR thing.
Yeah.
Put that between the seats, and the kids were in the back in car seats. Well, my daughter was in a car seat, and we just went. And thankfully, I mean, were there times where, I mean, that was just the evacuation. The next year, lots of crying. Tried to hold it together when they were
Be
around.
strong for the kids.
And it's like, oh, it's a new adventure. We're going to live here now.
Did that change how you handled stress or uncertainty even now?
Absolutely. Kind of funny story is last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe,
Yeah.
I had my wash machine and my refrigerator went. So my wash machine was here. I had somebody looking at it, and he was like, he's looking at this code. He's like, there's something more going on. He's like, I
Yeah.
think you might have had a power surge. Because I was like, well, listen to the refrigerator. He's like, that's going to die today. So that was dying. And then my dishwasher and my disposal weren't working.
Yeah.
So all of this is happening, and I actually made a post about it, and I took everything and I put it into, my friend came over, she helped me put stuff in a cooler, and I just had to realize that, I'm like, gosh, like, it's not what you want.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was without countertops. I didn't have a sink. I didn't have lights. Like even a year later when I went back, it took a year before we went back.
Yeah.
And I had a 6-week-old baby at that time. I got
Holy
pregnant in the
cow.
meantime. So I was like, this is fine. It's fine. So yes, definitely can handle things better.
Do you think it made you stronger or just forced you to kind of learn how to survive?
Definitely made me stronger because before, little things I could get upset about, and it's like, you know what, it's fine. I mean, I've fought through a lot of things. My grandma used to call me the survivor after my accident and then Katrina.
Definitely. People don't realize survival mode and strength kind of go hand in hand almost because surviving through things make you stronger is what I've realized.
I'm sure you've had
You
that.
know, after we talked about this whole situation, after 26 years of marriage, you go through a divorce. What's something about that experience people wouldn't really understand?
I'd say probably the grief that goes with it.
Yeah.
Because even though, I mean, I didn't have like a nasty divorce, we just ended up like it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
But yet, I mean, we'd been together for like 28 years. I mean, that's more than half my life. And even though we came to the conclusion like this is not going to work, it's like waves. I mean, my dad died about 5 years ago. I
Yeah.
expected to go through that. Like, that's grief, right? It just pops up out of nowhere. But I mean, divorce, I wasn't thinking I'm gonna have this grief and I'm gonna go through these like lows that just boom. I mean, I'm a trainer, and one day I was training someone. I looked and I saw her wedding ring, and I was like getting tears in my eyes, and I'm going, I see lots of people with a wedding ring, right? I mean, and it just
Yeah.
weird times that it's hard. And then I have that also, even though my youngest he was going to be a junior, but they're older, but yet it's hard. It's really hard to watch them and what they have to go through, because this isn't the life that I was thinking it was going to be. I mean, I'm from a family of, my mom had five, there were five of them in her family. Everybody's married, everybody's kids, all my cousins. I am the first one that's gotten divorced. So all of that. And the other thing that will creep in at times is, did I do enough? We went to counseling. We fought through a lot of things, but that does creep in too. So
Do you feel like you lost yourself somewhere in?
I felt like I did more when the kids were younger, because I was a stay-at-home mom. My identity was I was their mom, and then I was a wife, and I wasn't, I didn't have my own career at that time. And it wasn't, it's not like I blame anybody. It just is what kind of happened. And that's why I like working with women, so that, before you're an empty nester, like, okay, a lot of times you get lost in it with, it happens to moms. Like, you do, that becomes your identity. And then trying to go, wait, now what did I like before? Like, what set my soul on fire that I'm like, I could get back into this? And that was kind of what happened with me, because then I'd been in fitness. I wanted to
Yeah.
go into fitness in college, and they told me I'll never get a job. So I became a teacher, and then I kept coming back to fitness. And so finally I was like, it's time to get certified, that was what I started doing, is finding what I loved.
What do you feel like you had to unlearn?
I had to unlearn that I had to take care of everyone else first all the time and be a people pleaser and forget about me. And I think that, sometimes culturally, like, we just are like, okay, this is what we do. This is our role as a mom, and we just take care of everyone. And so I had to unlearn that I didn't have to make everybody else happy all the time, and that,
Didn't have to shrink yourself.
yes, exactly. Yes.
That's a hard one to unlearn, because it's like once we start taking back our power, it's almost like we've been taught that it's selfish to take
Yes.
care of ourselves. And so it's like almost uncomfortable setting boundaries and learning how to do those things, because it's like, oh, but like we're taught, especially being from a small town, I'm from the South, like we're taught, oh, family is everything, and we're supposed to just forgive them and let things go. And it's like at some point in time, like I had to stand steadfast. I'm sure you did too. And like, I love you, but this is a boundary for me. It makes me uncomfortable. And this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when did you know or that it was over?
Well, we'd done counseling, a few times in the marriage. And then at the end, we went again, and it was like we weren't resolving anything. It's like we like built up resentment towards each other, and we were at a point where I think, like, I felt like I was dying inside, and he probably did too. And that we still have a lot of years left, and we just were not making each other happy. Like, it's not because we didn't try.
Yeah.
We both tried. And then when we found that point, like, we're just not, I don't know. I don't know that we can, because we'd been at that point like probably 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And so then we were kind of, all right, well, we were back there again and we tried. And it was like, I just don't think we're going to make it there.
You said something interesting about 10 years before. I feel like a lot of people stay or get stuck because they don't really know who they are
Hmm.
without the marriage.
Oh, yeah, that's very accurate because
And once
that's,
you start finding yourself and evolving, it's like, okay, it's okay that some of these things don't intertwine. And so,
mhm.
like, I have to go do my thing.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes part of your identity.
Percent. So, do you think people stay too long or they leave too early? This is always an interesting question.
I feel like it depends almost like the age. I mean, as far
Yes.
as I think the generation now, like I have, my daughter's 23 and she's had, friends getting married now for a couple years. And then, so I'm like, okay, are they gonna, make it for just a couple years and then they get out? Or do you stay too long? Because I think a lot of times what happens is like my generation, the gray divorce and everything, is that I'm going to wait till the kids are through school, right? And then it happens.
Yes, 100%.
So,
We're from the same generation.
yeah. Because I have a friend who she was like, yeah, I mean, my parents, and then I had actually somebody else that was like, yeah, my parents, like, as soon as they were graduating, it's like their parents are getting the divorce, and they're like, well, wait, what? So I think it's almost generational, is my opinion.
I agree. What was the lowest point for you mentally after all of that?
Probably feeling alone.
Yeah.
That all these years, between, yes, I still, the kids were still around. My oldest was gone, but just that, what's the future? Like, what happens next? Because I'm young, but I'm old.
Yeah.
As far as to start over. So, I mean, that's definitely been.
It's like mourning the death of the person that you were, but also like being grateful for the rebirth of what the next stage is.
It is. And that's what I like with women is, like with the midlife and everything is okay, doesn't I mean it is sad. They leave. I mean, I posted a picture of I mean, I was just crying when my kids left after Easter. My boys
Yeah.
were like, "Mom, why are you crying?" And I'm like, "I just do." I mean, they see it. I cry when they
Yeah.
leave. It wasn't like something terrible, but
Yeah.
you go through that, but then on the other side, it's like, but then what do I get to do? I always say that when I'm training, what do you get to do? Like, what do I get to do next? Like, there's so many opportunities, and oh, I can travel more and to help, and that's what I want to do is help women see that there are lots of good things that can come, but it starts here. I
Yeah.
mean, so.
What was the first small shift that helped you kind of transition out of that?
I was actually in some coaching at the time, and now I call them manifestation loops, cognitive behavioral
Yeah.
therapy. So it was like from the thoughts, feelings, and actions. So it was mindset. I would have, times where I was like, I was going from a 4,000 square foot house, and there was still a lot of stuff that needed to be moved. And I remember writing, I don't know how I'm going to get this all done before we close on the house. And
Yeah.
then my feeling was I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, action, I might do nothing. Versus, you know what? God has helped me through everything up to this point. It's all going to get done in enough time. And then I'm like, okay, I'm feeling like energized and I'm feeling hopeful and kind of excited. Okay, then I just start moving, getting totes filled and moving things. So
That's the
definitely
biggest
mindset.
thing. Learning to let go and let God was the biggest thing that I've just like, because anxiety will creep in and all of those things will creep in. I can't do this. I can't do this. And it's like taking that second to kind of sit back and be
Hmm.
like, I can do this. And if it's meant to be, it's going to be. And if it's not, it's not. And either way, I'm going to be safe and protected. And that's all that really matters.
Yes. I mean, my son, like, we'll talk about it. 'Cause I'm like, well, you don't have anxiety. He's like, Mom, I mean, God's got me. Like, Wish I was like that at 19.
Thank you, man. We
I
need
mean,
him. We need to get him on. We need that. We need that type of. We need that type of energy. You know, people think that change is this one big decision, but it's usually just small choices that we've been kind of avoiding until we take that risk on ourselves, and that's when we kind of take that next
yeah.
step into what our true self is and what our purpose is.
Yeah, taking the action was definitely close after the mindset.
Yeah. You know, speaking of that, now you help women who feel stuck or lost in this stage of life. What do you think that most of them are struggling with the most when they come to you?
A lot of times it's, I mean, like they've got the quiet house and that lonely and loss of identity because they were, like I was saying with marriage, I mean, but they were mom, they're caregiver, they're needed all the time. And then all of a sudden, like for me, I was, it was like a sport. We had something going on for like 20 years. You're always going somewhere. You got to help with homework. You got to get the meals planned. So who am I now? Like, what's my purpose? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And what's next? So, kind of helping them navigate. And then also, another thing is raising adult children. So,
That's a
that is,
task within itself.
it is, and learning when to step back because we still want to be needed, but yet we need to help them go, it's on you now. Like, and to be okay with that.
That's that's a struggle we all kind of that's a struggle.
Uh-huh.
I know for me, my oldest is 22. And it's one of the things like I struggle with because sometimes she'll call me with stuff and I'm like, I've learned to, as they say, this will tell you how old Kenny Rogers used to say, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And
Yep.
so I've learned that bob and weave when it comes to those type of conversations because it's not my place to kind of tell her what she needs to do. It's my job as a parent to kind of walk with her through the journey and
Hmm.
understand sometimes she's going to do her own thing. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's good for them to have to have that hand burning moment for them to understand the stove is hot.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's hard to watch sometimes, but yet you're like, okay, I know they need to learn this.
Very hard. What do you feel like is a boundary that's hard but necessary for them to start?
Kind of that. Kind of for them to go, all right, I'm going to stop right here of you need to take care of this problem. Like you've got classes or you've got, maybe you're still needing help with something with school. So, I mean, I went through that, like with my son this year, I was like, okay, English, all right, there's resources, right?
Yeah.
Instead of, because English, I'm not fantastic anyway. So I'm like, you're probably going to do better somewhere else. But, like teaching them to use the resource instead of constantly like, oh, I'm still going to rely, like on mom or something like that.
Yeah. Do you feel like people struggle more with learning to set boundaries or keeping them?
I think we have in our mind we're setting this boundary. Sometimes you're not like voicing it, but you're like, okay, I'm going to stand up and voice my opinion on something. And then maybe you do, and then it's not met so well, it's
Yeah.
not taken so well, so then you retreat. So I think almost following through sometimes, depending on what the pushback is of when you actually set the boundary. Well,
That's the hardest thing. I'm doing coaching right now. And it's like one of the main things that we learned is not telling people what they need, is kind of helping them understand what they need themselves and guiding them to what's uncomfortable and then walking through that on the other side.
oh yeah. I mean, it's like in fitness. A lot of times people are like, "Well, I know I shouldn't be eating that, and I should be moving." And I always say, I mean, it's simple. It's just not easy. So even though they know, sometimes even like women with going that are at midlife, and then you got perimenopause, menopause, you're going through all that on top of maybe oh, the kids are about to be graduating, so you're in the thick of it, you're busy, you got graduation, you got all the stuff, let's get them ready for college. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. It's August, and you're like, now what? You know?
What the hell is going on?
Yes. So, I mean, it's like, oh, wait, I got to slow down and think about what do I need? Because I'm going to be better in the moment when I take care of me. And that's, for any, I mean, that's for anybody.
True story. I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It's been truly touching for me. How can people get in touch with you, especially women that are looking for coaching?
So I've got a website. I mean, we can, I guess, send it. It's paperbell.me/Carissa Mahoney 1, which,
I'll put it in the link. Just shoot it
okay.
to me and I'll put it in the link in the bio. And for those of you watching this, if you're out there and you feel like you don't have a voice, I hope conversations like this remind you that you do. And remember that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next week right here on the front porch.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you, Carissa.